Welcome to the October synopsis of the Insurance Research Letter Live. Featured articles this month include Terrorism, Recognizing Behaviors of Concern by James W. Satterfield. Social Media, New and Evolving Liability Risks by James R. Higgins Jr. and Samuel W. Wardle. Injuries Resulting from Slips and Trips on a Construction Site by Dr. Angela D. Domenico. And Directors and Officers May Need to Rethink Coverage in a Cyber World by Daniel J. Healy. Read these and other original and educational articles from world insurance business leaders. Subscribe to the Insurance Research Letter at irletter.com/subscriptions. And remember, these articles are educational and have a long shelf life, so whether you're watching and listening to the March presentation or September, it makes no difference. Now for this month's featured presentation, What is Terrorism? To truly understand the risk posed to all organizations by acts of terror, Firestorm President Jim Satterfield interviewed Brigadier General Richard Wilmot for the Insurance Research Letter's Risk Management Spotlight feature. So, what is terrorism? The idea, notion, concept of terrorism needs to be broadened. Terrorism is genetic. It came along with the first humans to inhabit the planet. Terrorism was used by ancient tribes to secure hunting grounds, to take anything considered to be of value, including other humans from the competing tribe. Today, terrorism is characterized by surprise, striking a weak, soft, but valuable target of opportunity, establishing a killing zone or an area where maximum firepower can be brought to bear, generating terror among the survivors, generating terror within a large part of the population, causing the population to comply with the terrorist's demands. Is terrorism increasing or decreasing? The futurists of the mid-century probably did not see nor begin to understand the magnitude of the impending arms race, the Cold War, the pervasive threat of the bomb. The visionaries did not predict a world where technology and information would be king, a space age and computerized societies leading to the information age, a world in which technology, including weapons technology, outstrips social. Terrorism is now delivered in a briefcase or a backpack by a modern adversary, a new terrorist with an old sensibility, a terrorist of the techno-information age. The Institute for Economics and Peace compiled its annual Global Terrorism Index and looked at the figures from 2000 to the end of 2014. It found terrorism is rising dramatically and private citizens are increasingly the targets. Is terrorism increasing on U.S. soil? The New York Times as recently as August of this year claimed, quote, "It's a grand claim but true, there is now no war in the Western Hemisphere," unquote. As war is terrorism, this could lead one to believe it is decreasing, but it comes in at all levels and in many forms. Hacking is done by terrorists. It's here, it's everywhere, it's all around us. It's changing, and in my opinion, it's increasing. What should a company do today? First, take a look at the vulnerabilities. A vulnerability assessment must be done, and in light of the evolving and changing nature of terrorism, it must be done frequently. Next, you must have a crisis management plan that is updated, revised, and reviewed. You must have a network of key community constituents, including hospitals, government, first responders, and others that are aware of your plan. You must have key trusted people in your organization that are trained on the crisis management plan. And you must remember that vulnerabilities equal threats. What are likely targets for organized terrorism? Innocent people first, the infrastructure second, power plants, satellites, dams, water systems, ports, any support transportation and communication systems that are exposed and in the open. A terrorist group will attack a target that is weak. We need to be as smart as the terrorists are. As a company, you must be ready if your supply chain is cut off for weeks or months. After the 9/11 terror attacks, there were no planes in the sky for a very, very long time. Could your business survive that? What signs should business and organizations be aware of? As a possible weakness, terrorist organizations are very thorough at gathering intelligence. In fact, they may be too thorough. Consider these ideas and look for the following indicators. They use both cadre members and passive sympathizers to conduct reconnaissance, take pictures, study traffic flows and habits. Once you determine key targets in your area, which will probably be the same targets as terrorists are considering, be aware of and alert your people to watch for any unusual incidents that involve gathering information against such targets. Talk to the volunteers who work at the local tourist information office and the Chamber of Commerce to determine if any unusual tourists are asking any odd questions about non-tourist points of interest, such as power plants, dams, factories, and other sensitive installations. In fact, check the volunteers who work at these places to determine if they are legitimate. Remember, the intelligence collectors will take their time in the reconnaissance phase of the operation and will go to great lengths to gather as much material as they feel is necessary. This extensive information cycle may be a weakness you can exploit. It's also important to remember that the distribution of drugs is also a tactic of terrorist groups, as is money laundering and other illegal activity. With that insight, create policies and train staff in measures to recognize, reduce, and eliminate vulnerabilities in the workplace. Terrorism succeeds because terrorists pick the battlefield and target. The advantage goes to the terrorist. To reduce this control, 1. Know your vulnerabilities. 2. Know your plan. 3. Make great decisions based upon real intelligence. 4. Follow the Firestorm methodology of predict, plan, perform. What closing thoughts do you have for organizations concerned about terrorism, General? The Internet has become a central tool for terrorists, largely replacing print and physical media. It's allowed terrorist organizations to freely and economically communicate their message and aims to the world, allowing them to recruit new members, coordinate global attacks, and better evade surveillance. Because of this, senior leadership must understand the intelligence cycle. 1. Planning and direction. 2. Collection. 3. Processing. 4. Analysis and production. 5. Dissemination. It sounds simple, and it is simple, but it gets complicated quickly in modern times without insight and guidance. The collection of data today can be overwhelming, so having a plan and help with direction is a critical step. There are forces at work in the world that are in a state of constant combat planning. If you operate a corporation or any type of business with employees, you're a potential target. You are political in the sense that there are people who despise you for what you have, what you do, and who you are. There is a terrorist existing somewhere who doesn't like you, your family, or your corporation. In the terrorist's mind, they are in constant combat. They are ruled by chaos, confusion, and turmoil. The terrorist is unclear in values and goals, and as the terrorist becomes more frustrated and confused, they become more dangerous. A terrorist can act alone. A terrorist can act as part of a group. A terrorist can be well-trained, or a misguided misfit. Some posit that terrorists are able to influence policy and public opinion, and that terrorism is increasing worldwide simply because it's effective. A second view argues that terrorists hardly ever achieve their main objectives, and that terrorist groups tend to be unstable and disintegrate over time. We would like to see a third scenario, whereby we educate ourselves, identify vulnerabilities, plan and practice, and make great decisions, starting with working together as a private-public sector team and defeat terrorism on our soil once and truly for all. Thanks for watching and listening to this month's presentation of the Insurance Research Letter Live. Check back next month for more educational and informative talk about insurance and risk management, some of which will include battery fire investigation, what to look for, the day after tomorrow, a new world in hazard claims, even in today's environment, global opportunities beckon, and London burning. Next month's featured presentation, Left of X. Learn how, as an organizational leader, you can act left of X to mitigate or even prevent an incident of workplace violence. Read these and other original and educational articles from World Insurance business leaders. Subscribe to the Insurance Research Letter at irletter.com/subscriptions. And remember, these articles are educational and have a long shelf life. So whether you are watching and listening to the April or August presentations, the content is educational and informative, so it makes no difference.